Okay, so the outline for this topic would be the first regulatory body or guideline that we will see is from the UK, or also known as UK MHRA, and then followed by the US FDA, and then the Australian Authority TGA, and lastly would be by our own regulatory body, which is NPRA. So this is Malaysian. And lastly, we're going to look into a pharmacopoeia. Okay, so what is pharmacopoeia and some of the example of pharmacopoeia that is available to be referred to. Okay, the first regulatory guideline that we are going to look is the uh, United Kingdom Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency. So in short, it is called the UK MHRA. Okay, M stands for Medicine and Healthcare. So anything that is related to medicinal and healthcare product are under this regulatory agency. Okay. So what is MHRA? So all of these are taken directly from the MHRA website. I mean, the definition and things like that. Okay, so these are all fact. Okay, actual facts. So the Medicine and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency is an executive agency of the Department of Health of United Kingdom. So this is part of the Department of Health. So same case like our NPRA, okay, the National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Agency is part of the Ministry of Health, or the KKM, Kementerian Kesihatan, okay. So the MHRA is put under the jurisdiction of the Department of Health. So there is no Ministry of Health, but Department of Health. And it was set up in April 2003. Okay, so quite recent. I think about 19 years ago, to bring together the functions of the Medicine Control Agency (MCA) and the Medical Devices Agency (MDA). So previously, the Medicine Control and the Medical Device Control are different entity. Okay, so that's why now the name is combined, Medicine and Healthcare Products. So medicine and healthcare. So healthcare stands for all of the medical, other types of medical devices. So they are now put under one entity known as MHRA. So the MHRA is responsible for ensuring that medicine, medical devices, and blood components for transfusion meet applicable standard of safety, quality, and efficacy. So this is the responsibility of MHRA. Okay, so not just on medicine, okay, the safety, quality, and everything on medicine, but also the other types of medical devices and blood components for transfusion. So this is a sort of like a chart stating on the function of MHRA. So it is divided into five here that you can see. The first is the, where's my pointer? Okay, the regulation of the clinical trials. Okay, if there is new product needs to be tested or to undergo clinical trials, or maybe some generic product also, they might require you to do some clinical trials. So there are regulation that they have to follow. And then safety and efficacy monitoring, providing information to public and health professionals, licensing, and also the enforcement of law. Okay. So under licensing, there are several licenses in which that the MHRA can issue. The first is the manufacturer and dealer licenses. Okay, even for you to manufacture drugs or medicine or pharmaceutical product, you need to have license if you're operating in the United Kingdom. Okay, and then clinical trial licenses. So and the parallel import licenses. So if you want to import drugs from or medicine from other country into the United Kingdom, then you also have to require the licensing. So take note over here, MHRA does not regulate dietary supplement, veterinary products, and also cosmetics. So these are not under the jurisdiction of the MHRA. Okay. So example of a flow on the medicine. If let's say you have a medicine to be marketed in the UK, first you need to have the licensing from MHRA, and then the marketing authorization should be obtained first before the medicines are allowed to be marketed in the UK. So the licensing probably will require several things, okay, that you have to fulfill, but I'm not going to go into detail on this, but anyhow, you can refer to the MHRA website, okay, and see what are the requirements if you, let's say, want to market medicine in the United Kingdom. So marketing authorization are for new biological or chemical compounds, okay, new, and then different brands of existing medicine, okay, meaning um, another brand, okay, let's say you already have in UK the company GSK is from UK, for example, they uh, sell the Panadol, okay, which is paracetamol basically. So if you want to sell another paracetamol product, okay, then you're gonna have to get marketing authorization as well because this is a different brand. And then generics, identical but cheaper version of existing branded medicine, new form of existing medicine such as syrup, patches, or injection, and new uses of existing medicine. So as in the new the same drug are being used to treat other types of diseases, so that also requires marketing authorization. And this is an example of process of licensing. Let's say you want to have a clinical trial, so you have to apply first with MHRA, and then the personnel in charge from MHRA will do an evaluation. If it doesn't satisfy, then it will go back here, meaning whatever the things that they require, then you have to fulfill lah. But if your application satisfy their needs, okay, their requirement, then you can straight away go to the clinical trials, and then based on the result and assessment of data by expert, uh, the MHRA will then see again whether it satisfy or fulfill requirements or not. Okay, otherwise, if it doesn't satisfy, then you will not get any license. But if the clinical trials is a success, then they will give marketing authorization. Okay, who are the entity that can apply for the marketing authorization? So they are generally submitted by the pharmaceutical industry, okay, basically like pharmaceutical company. But actually, anyone with the necessary supporting data may apply for a license. So it's like anybody can actually apply for the license. But then again, if you are a single person, there's no, how to say, how are you going to actually do all these clinical trials and everything? Okay, you need the support and backup of a lot of people. So normally they are done by pharmaceutical industry. So how the application is going to be submitted? So they must follow the Common Technical Dossier, or also known as CTD format, which has been a requirement since 2003. So there is a sort of like a format or a template lah, okay, in terms of the application. And then the preferred format for new marketing authorization application is the electronic common technical dossier. So ECTD, that means this is like soft copy, but this one is hard copy lah. And then it must be created according to current spec. Then again, MHRA accept that many companies are not yet ready to submit application in ECTD format. So therefore, it accept application in PDF only format also. So this is the CTD, what do you call that? Triangle. Oh, sorry. Okay, the common technical dossier triangle. So they normally have like this. They have 5 module. Okay, module 1 is on regional admin information. Module 2 consists of quality, overall summary, non-clinical and also clinical overview, and then their summary. While module 3 is on quality, and 4 and 5 are the non-clinical and clinical study report, okay, respectively. So the part that is included in the technical dossier is the module 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, the first one is not part of the CTD. Sorry. Okay, then if let's say you have obtained the license, okay, the license are also only valid for 5 years. So it's not like once you get, then it will be no expiry date. Okay, it has an expiry date of 5 years. Then it can be renewed on the basis of re-evaluation of the risk-benefit balance. So that means you can apply with MHRA for renewal. So once renewed, the marketing authorization will be valid for an unlimited period. So the first time you apply, you will only get for 5 years, but the second time you renew, then it will be for unlimited periods. So application for renewal should be submitted at least 6 months before expiry. Okay, so this has to be taken note. It's not like once it's expired, then you want to apply. Okay, so it should be done earlier. Okay, 6 months at least. The minimum is 6 months before the expiry date. Okay, so the flow chart of the renewal of license for new marketing authorization, you only get for 5 years, and then re-evaluation. If it fulfills the requirement, then you can get the marketing authorization for lifetime. That means no expiry date. And the MHRA also has the power to cancel or revoke licenses that they have given. So if let's say the marketing authorization holder does not file an application for renewal within specified time, it will expire automatically. Okay. And if they also does not wish to renew the license, a letter should be sent indicating the cancellation to administrative support team and also the MHRA. Okay. And the MHRA also has the authority to cancel license for products that are affecting public health. Okay, now we will proceed to the United States regulatory agency, which is FDA. Okay, which it stands for Food and Drug Administration. So FDA, I think you all are quite familiar with the US FDA. So the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, or the US FDA, is an agency of the United States Department of Health and Human Services. Okay, again, the FDA is a regulatory body, but it is within the Department of Health and also Human Services. And it is responsible for regulating and supervising the safety of foods, dietary supplements, drugs, vaccine, biological medical products, blood products, medical devices, radiation emitting devices, veterinary products, and also cosmetics. So the US FDA actually covers a whole lot more than MHRA. Okay, and remember in MHRA, it does not have the responsibility to supervise and regulate foods, dietary supplement, veterinary products, and also cosmetic. Okay, but the rest, medical devices, blood, drugs, everything is under MHRA. But in FDA, you see that there is quite a number of other types of products as well. Okay, including foods. So it is a bigger, having bigger responsibility lah. So by protecting the public health, okay, by assuring the safety, effectiveness, and security of human and veterinary drugs, vaccines, and other biological products, medical devices, nation's food supply, cosmetic, dietary supplements, and products that give off radiation. So these are the responsibility for FDA. So, example of what kind of things or products that FDA regulate. So, foods, uh, except for most meat and poultry products, which are regulated by the Department of Agriculture. Okay, so that means I think the food here refers to most of the processed food, nah? Okay, like canned food, all those, let's say biscuits, bread, whatever lah. So that it should be under the regulation of FDA. And then food additive, infant formulas, dietary supplements, human drugs, vaccine, blood products, and other biologics, medical devices, from simple items like tongue depressor to complex technologies such as heart pacemaker. So, okay, you see the medical devices from a very simple device up to the most complex one. And then electronic products that give off radiation, such as microwave oven and X-ray equipment, cosmetics, and then feed, drugs, and devices used in pet, farm animals, and other types of animals, and also tobacco products. Okay, so tobacco products also is under the jurisdiction of the FDA. So FDA shares the responsibility for regulating this product with other government agencies. That means they share responsibility and also jurisdiction. That includes pesticide, which also being shared with the United States Department of Agriculture and the EPA, okay, the Environmental Protection Agency. Okay, so water also is being supervised by FDA, but it is also shared uh, with the EPA as well. Okay, but they do different kind of regulation. FDA regulates the labeling and safety of bottled water, while the EPA develops national standard for drinking water from municipal water supplies. Okay, if you notice in the US, their tap water, I think in most places it can be straight away. You can drink it. Okay, it is safe to drink straight away from the tap water. Okay, unlike in Malaysia, we still needs to filter, or maybe you need to boil the water first lah. Okay, in Japan also, they can drink their water straight from the tap water. I mean the sink lah. So what being covered if, let's say, there is an FDA inspection? So FDA will inspect manufacturers or processors of FDA regulated products to make sure that they comply with relevant regulation. So the inspection will include the vaccine and drug manufacturers, blood banks, food processing facilities like dairy farm animal feed processors, facilities that conduct studies in people, which means clinical trials, lab that conduct studies in animal or other types of microorganism, where they need to apply for FDA approval of a medical product, and also foreign manufacturing and processing sites for FDA regulated products that are sold in the United States. So let's say the products are actually made in a different country. Okay, but as long as the product are being sold in the United States, then the FDA has the authority to inspect. So product recall, you still remember what is product recall? So a recall is when a product is removed from the market or a correction is made to the product because it is either defective or potentially harmful. So sometimes a company might discover a problem and recalls a product on its own, but there might also be cases where the government authority are the one who is issuing the product recall. Okay, remember in I think the last previous lecture, in Malaysia, all product recalls need to be going through the MPRA channel. Okay, it's not the manufacturing company has to do a product recall through MPRA. And then we have this ANDA and also NDA, which is abbreviated new drug application and also new drug application. So ANDA and NDA, okay, the short form for it. So NDA stands for new drug application. So evidence on the drug safety and effectiveness has been obtained to meet the FDA's requirement. The new drug has a particular quality and that the drug is safe and also effective. So pharmaceutical company needs to fill out a new drug application, and if only it is approved, then it can be marketed in the US. So the new drug application requires the company to have a preclinical studies and also clinical studies, which include human. That means this one is in vivo, okay? And then real human studies. Whereas for the abbreviated new drug application, which is ANDA, it contains data submitted to the FDA Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, Office of Generic Drugs, for the review and ultimate approval of a generic drug product. So basically, ANDA is for generic product, while the NDA is for new drug, okay, or innovative drug. We can also call it as innovative drug. So once approved, then only the applicant may manufacture and market the generic drug product to the US. So the goals of having the abbreviated new drug application is to reduce the price of drug. So as you know, the price of an innovative drug or the original one is very expensive. And for example, the drugs of omeprazole, the original one, I think the name is Losec from the company of AstraZeneca. So one box of it costs like I think 50 to 60, if I'm not mistaken, ringgit lah. Okay, 50 to 60 ringgit, which only contain I think like 12 tablets, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe no, sorry, 10 tablets. Okay, the one strip only contain 5 tablets. But for generic drug that our Malaysian company makes, the price are very cheap lah. Okay, it costs less than 20 ringgits for one strip. So that is one of the goals of having a generic drug, to reduce the price and then to make available a good quality drug product to US people and to reduce the time of development. So the requirement for ANDA, it must use the same API, okay, the same active pharmaceutical ingredient, same route of administration. Let's say the medicine needs to be swallowed, okay, then it has to be administered the same way. Not one is swallowed and the other one is maybe using a patch or maybe an injection. So it must have a same route of administration, same dosage form. Okay, original a tablet, then it should be a tablet as well. Cannot be a capsule or a syrup, for example. And then same strength. Okay, original is 500 mg. Then you also have to make it 500 mg and same condition of use.
So the basic needs to prepare for drug product for ANDA, you have to provide a reference listed drug, and then the API, excipient, packaging material, and also the bioequivalence study. Okay, so bioequivalence study. So the reference listed drug can be chosen from Orange Book database of desired strength, dosage form, and also the route of administration. So these are the reference of listed drugs. Okay, approved drug products. We can refer to this. While the API itself, it must be the same active ingredient and salt form. Okay, uh, the regulated documents that are needed includes the USDMF, patent for non-infringing statement, polymorphism statement, outsourcing CGMP, and also the MSDS of the API itself. And the excipient should be the same and as close to the innovator product. So that means here you can change it slightly, okay, but it has to be almost as close to the innovator product. And the document needed are the USDMF and also MSDS. And the packaging material, again, should be as close to the innovator drug products. And there are lots of regulatory documents here are being required, which is include the COA and specification. COA is the certificate of analysis. And the DSC and also TGA thermogram. That means DSC stands for differential scanning calorimetry. The purpose of doing this is to see the melting point of the sample. Okay, in this case, if you look, most of the packaging materials are in plastic, so that's why they want to check on what is the melting point for the plastic product. So this can be achieved by doing a DSC analysis. Okay, so you will get a thermogram as the result. Drawings, statement of GMP compliance, latex content statement, food contact declaration, colorant declaration, also the USDMF itself. So this is what I said earlier on bioequivalence. So what is bioequivalence? So this is the an example for result that you obtain from bioequivalence study. So the absence of a significant difference in the rate and extent to which the active ingredients in pharmaceutical equivalent becomes available at the site of drug action when administered at the same molar dose under similar conditions. So bioequivalence is a test where you are going to compare your generic product with the innovator. Okay, and this has to be done with real human sample. That means you have to administer the product, okay, the innovator, and also the generic drug that you are newly created to the patient, okay, and see what kind of result that you obtain. That means normally the patient will need to stay at a test center, for example, a hospital, and they are required to eat maybe the innovator drug first for 5 days, and then the next 5 days will be the generic drug. Okay, and these human sample are normally being paid. Okay, they voluntarily become a sample. Okay, but there's also a non-disclosure agreement. If let's say anything happen, then they cannot sue the company. But then again, they are being paid. And after the medicine has been taken by the patient or the test sample, then they will draw blood, okay, every maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, and to see the drug content in the blood. Okay? And the if the generic drug can produce a curve as similar, okay, as the innovator drug, then it will be best. Okay, you try to get the generic drug to be having similar curve as the innovator drug. Then we will look into the ANDA review process. Okay, the generic drug review process. It will be done by the Office of Generic Drug (OGD) and also Center of Generic Drug and Research. So the submission and fillings started by the CTD, the Common Technical Dossier or the ECTD, and it will be submitted to the FDA Center of Drug Evaluation and Research and also the OGD. So here are the difference between the submission for NDA and also ANDA requirement. For new drug application, the requirements are quite strict and there's a lot more things for you to do because it is a new drug. Okay, nobody has created it before, and there's no similar study or result that you can refer. For example, it is a well-controlled clinical studies to demonstrate effectiveness. It also includes preclinical and clinical data to show safety, and it must have detailed description of manufacturing and packaging procedures, proposed annotated labeling referencing all studies from which statements contained in the package insert has been derived. Okay, but for ANDA requirements, only require detailed description of the component and the manufacturing controls, packaging and labeling data sufficient to assure the bioavailability or the bioequivalence of the drug to be marketed. Okay, so you do not have to include preclinical and clinical data as well. Then we're going to look into the regulatory guideline from the country of Australia. Okay, so these called, the agency is called as TGA. Okay, not thermogravimetric analysis. TGA here means Therapeutic Goods Administration, which again is under the jurisdiction of the Department of Health. Okay, and these are the agency for the Australian government. So the TGA responsibility is to regulate medicines, which include prescription medicine, including innovator and also generic brands, OTC, which is over-the-counter medicine, including pharmacies only, and also unscheduled medicine, other complementary medicine, vaccines, blood components, and also other types of plasma derivative. So what does it mean by prescription medicine? It is any medicine that requires a prescription from a doctor, for example, or from a practitioner. And over the counter include lubricating eye drops from behind the counter without prescription. And then complementary, the example like high dose calcium tablets from behind the counter without a prescription. So there are two broad categories of medicines according to TGA. Okay, so this is all under TGA definition. Approach is based on risk, and in the simplest term, it has two tiers. One is known as the registered medicine, and the other one is listed medicine. For registered medicine, it includes higher risk medicine that are registered on the ARTG, evaluated for quality, safety, and efficacy. Product information must be approved by the TGA, while listed medicine are lower risk medicine according to the ARTG list, contain pre-approved low risk ingredient, and can only make limited claims and cannot imply that they will be useful in the treatment or prevention of serious illnesses. So these are example of registered medicine. So the prescription drug in this country are normally put in an orange bottle, but in Malaysia, we do not have this kind of packaging lah. Okay, normally if you go to the doctors, to the hospital, they will place it in a white plastic packaging. Okay, but not a bottle like this. All prescription medicines are registered. Most over-the-counter medicines are registered, and some complementary medicines are registered. So they must have an abbreviated AUSTR number on the label or packaging. And if you want to register a new medicine in Australia, um, there is a large amount of information that you need to consider, and approximately will take you 11 months to evaluate one new higher risk prescription medicine. Okay, so it'll take about almost like 1 year, okay, just to get registration for new medicine. And the evaluation must be done by scientists and also clinicians who will look at data on the quality, safety, and also the efficacy. So process of checking and communicating with applicant. The first one is the preparation and lodgement of all the documents, and then the screening process, evaluation, the decision, and finally will be the finalization, whether the new medicine can be registered or not. Oops. The generic prescription medicine must also have bioequivalent study, okay, same or also known as bioavailability. So, like the FDA just now, okay, for ANDA drugs application, it also must include the bioequivalent study. So the decision will be based on the evidence, which include the quality data supplied by the applicant, and it will be evaluated not just by one person, but by a chemist, biochemist, microbiologist, and also other staff that are working for the TGA. It includes the composition of the substance and the product, the batch consistency, the stability data, sterility data, and also the impurity content. And for non-clinical data, it will be evaluated by toxicologists and pharmaceutical chemists. These include pharmacology data, pharmacokinetic, and also toxicology data, while the clinical data will be usually evaluated by a medical doctor. Okay, and mostly results of clinical trials conducted by the pharmaceutical companies or hospital or research organization will use volunteers. Okay, um, so these volunteers are the one that I said just now, whereby they are the one who are going to consume the medicine. Okay, but sometimes they paid the test sample. So for listed medicine, they are the lower level risk medicine, and it includes some OTC product and most complementary medicine, and it will be listed medicine. It will have an abbreviation of AUSTL number on the label, and it cannot contain substance that are scheduled in the poison standard, and must contain pre-approved ingredients. And to advertise medicines, the labeling, packaging, and description of what the medicine should be used for are all regulated by the TGA. Okay, so the advertising for medicinal product must be regulated by the TGA, and advertising of prescription medicines to consumers is illegal in Australia. So for prescription medicine, you cannot advertise to consumers. That means we as a patient cannot, let's say, go to the doctor, oh, I want this type of medicine, and I mean like request lah, okay, because we as a patient will not even we shouldn't know what kind of brand, what kind of medicine it is, because it is illegal to advertise them in the first place to the patient. Okay, so only doctors or the medical practitioners are who are aware of the prescription drug. Okay, and lastly, the regulatory agency that we must know is the NPRA, the National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Agency. Okay, this is their logo now. Okay, and since we are in Malaysia, and I think that most of you will eventually work in Malaysia, and you need to familiarize yourself with NPRA and their guideline. Okay, depends on which department or which area that you might go into later on in your uh, uh, working world. Okay, but then again, each of the what you call department or in a pharmaceutical manufacturing company will have to deal with the NPRA, okay, especially during the NPRA audit, okay, because they will come to the manufacturing company to what do you call that, do an audit, okay, that maybe for a product or just for the premises itself. So the roles and functions for NPRA includes the evaluation and registration of products, sample analysis, on-site inspection, issuance of licenses and certificate, post-registration market surveillance, adverse drug relation monitoring (ADR), disseminating of drug information, training, and international and regional collaboration. So let's say you have a product to manufacture or import or sale, then you are required to have a product registration. The product registration, there's three types of license. Okay, you can have a manufacturing license, importing license, wholesaler license. But not all products have to be registered. Okay, not all products have to be registered. So this is an example of a product registration process flow chart. You must have a pre-submission of registration application, okay, whereby there will be a GMP inspection. So your premises need to have a GMP certification first. Okay, then only you can go for submission of registration application and screening process. So after that, it includes the data evaluation and sample testing. This one for natural products only. Then it will proceed to the meeting of drug evaluation committee, which are done twice monthly. And after that, the meeting of drug control authority, which are done once every month. And after that, they will decide in the meeting whether they will give approval or reject. Okay, if it's being reject, then you can still appeal. Okay, you can still appeal. I mean, it will go back up here lah, okay, and start with the process again. If you already got an approval, you can straight away get a license. These are normally application for manufacturer, import, or wholesale license. But another route is the post-registration process, which includes surveillance and also pharmacovigilance. Okay, that means once the product are already being sold to the market, the NPRA will do sort of like a survey to see if the new drug have any adverse effect, or is it good for, I mean, it is what do you call that, functioning as what it is being made for. Okay, let's say it is to treat hypertension, or then is it doing its job? Okay, if not, then they will what do you call that, make amendments or variation. So why the needs to register? So the Control of Drugs and Cosmetic Regulation 1984 was promulgated under the Sale of Drugs Act 1952, which is being revised in 1989, Sub-Regulation 7 in bracket 1. It said that no person shall manufacture, sell, supply, import, possess, or administer any product unless the product is a registered product and the person holds the appropriate license required and issued under this regulation. So these are being said in the Sales of Drug Acts. So what kind of product needs to be registered? Pharmaceutical product containing scheduled poison, okay, scheduled poison, or pharmaceutical products containing non-scheduled poison, example like OTC, traditional products, and also veterinary products. So if you notice here in NPRA, it doesn't cover the medical devices. Okay, medical devices is not under the jurisdiction of NPRA. I mean, it is similar to the MHRA lah, the United States Medical and Healthcare Devices Regulatory Agency. So, pharmaceutical products containing scheduled poison, OTC, included medicated plaster medicine, antiseptic or disinfectants for use on the human body, diagnostic agent for use, and also dietary supplement. Okay, example like probiotics and also chitosan. So these are required to have a registration with the NPRA. And the traditional products also are required to be registered with NPRA. Okay, these include homeopathic medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, herbal teas, dietary supplements like spirulina, chlorella, royal jelly, bee pollen, aloe vera juice, okay, and the rest. While the veterinary products for animals, okay, include any oral solution, suspension, emulsion, granule, paste, water-soluble powder, injectable, oral powders, capsule, tablet or topical, ophthalmic, and also optic products. So what are the products that do not have to be registered? These include raw herbs, diagnostic agent or test kit for use, like all those, what do you call that, COVID RTK test kit, insect repellent, bodybuilding products like all those protein shake, everything, food, detergent and disinfectant. So this doesn't have to be registered. So how the registration process are done? You have to go to the NPRA website and become what you call as the Quest member, which is you have to register as a first-time user, submit data requested, correspondence with NPRA officer if additional data is needed, and also products going to be tabled to the drug committee authority meeting, DCA meeting. So this is the website for NPRA. Okay, so if you are first time user, then you need to register here. But if you already have an account, then you can straight away log in. Okay. So these are also taken from the NPRA website, whereby a full evaluation and the timelines, okay, for registration of certain products, like for example, prescription, non-prescription drug, and also new drugs and biological, they require almost the longest is 245 days. Okay, again, this is like, I think like 8 months. Okay, 8 months, this one is 7 months. Okay, quite a long time as well. While for a breach evaluation, this is to evaluate application for registration of health supplement and traditional products containing single active ingredient, two or more active ingredient. For single, then it will only require 116 days, while for more than one, it will be 136 working days. Working days doesn't include uh, the weekends lah. So actually, it will be more than like this 210. It will be more than 7 months actually. Okay, because you will deduct the working days. And for products to be sold in Malaysia, okay, it must include this Meditech hologram. So if you notice, maybe you have the I think you have experience of buying pharmaceutical product before. You go to pharmacy, let's say you buy a cough syrup or whatever, then you will see this Meditech hologram. Okay, so this is a requirement for the affixation of the security device to product labels, and is applicable to all registered pharmaceutical products, traditional products, and also health supplements. So if you see there is no Meditech hologram on the packaging, then you might want to maybe see whether the product are actually being registered or not. Okay, so all products without hologram will be considered as unregistered product. So these are where the hologram should be put. Okay, and the requirement for the security labels does not apply to cosmetic. So cosmetic doesn't require to have this Meditech, and it is not recommended that cosmetic products carry the Meditech label, as it may lead to a confusion. So this is what a Meditech will looks like, but in actual, it will be like shining lah. Okay, this will be silver color. Okay, what about the imported personal drugs on board? So under the Control of Drugs and Cosmetic Regulation 1984, the requirements for drug registration does not apply to a person who arrives in Malaysia and imports as part of his personal luggage any product for his use or family's use in a quantity that does not exceed 1 month use by one person. So if let's say a foreigner or maybe a visitor comes to Malaysia and they bring their own medication in their luggage, then they do not have to register lah. Okay. But for products from overseas, all pharmaceutical products must be registered with the Drug Control Authority before it can be marketed in Malaysia. The foreign company have to appoint a local agent, okay, which is basically a company that is registered in Malaysia to be the holder of the registration certificate. That means the foreign company cannot be the entity who are having the license. Okay, the license must be from a company or an agent that is based in Malaysia. Okay, so the appointed agent must be responsible for all matters pertaining to the registration of the product. All right, and lastly, we are going to go into the topic of pharmacopoeia. Okay, so you see here there's a lot of pharmacopoeia. Example, you have USP, you have British pharmacopoeia, you have Indian, this is Japanese, there's even European pharmacopoeia and Russian pharmacopoeia. This one is Chinese. So the content on this subtopic of pharmacopoeia include the general notice, monograph, IR reference spectra, appendices, and also the index. The importance of having pharmacopoeia is to furnish quality specification for drug substances and also the general requirement for dosage form, and it also gives proper functioning or regulatory control of drugs and provide standards for pharmaceutical substances, okay, and medicinal products. So for regional registration, the pharmacopoeia will be used as a reference. I mean, the regional pharmacopoeia will be used as reference. For example, in order to be registered in the EU country, then the product must comply to the European pharmacopoeia specification. If you want to sell in the US, then you have to follow the United States pharmacopoeia. If let's say you want to sell in Britain, then you have to follow the UK pharmacopoeia. But in Malaysia, we do not have Malaysian pharmacopoeia yet. So most of the companies in manufacturing companies in Malaysia will either follow the US or BP pharmacopoeia. Okay, it's either these two because these are the two pharmacopoeia that is being